Members would be aware that the New South Wales Government and the Department of Education and Training are proposing sweeping changes to the current statewide staffing system. The Federation is deeply concerned about the impact of these changes. In essence, the Department is proposing to abolish transfer rights at principal, executive and classroom teacher level. Yes, they use the language of phasing out classroom teacher service transfers, but it's clear that they are intent on dismantling the service transfer mechanisms that we currently have in our agreement. The Department is advocating a much greater spread of local selection in all schools. The two drivers behind these changes that are apparent in negotiations on the matter are, on the one hand, this inherent view that schools should have more say over the selection of teachers who work there. The other concern that comes through in negotiations is some concern about teacher performance, getting the best teacher for the right location, for the right school, for just that particular position. Those concerns about having more say and having a concern about the performance of teachers seem to be the major motivations behind the Director-General's proposals. But if you look beyond those motivations, you'll actually find in our history the recycling of damaging, destructive policy proposals from the 1980s. Indeed, members who have been in the service as long as I have will recall this document, Brian Scott's Schools Renewal. This was the policy that advocated in 1989 the complete dismantling of the statewide transfer system and the implementation of local selection at all levels in all schools. After Scott's report, we had Your School's Right to Choose, Dr. Ken Boston's proposals, whereby we wouldn't just have local selection in all schools, we would have local staffing budgets. Yes, devolution to the extent of complete deregulation, local budgets, local selection of staff. In essence, a massive dismantling of a public education system of 2,240 public schools into 2,240 schools doing it for themselves as if they were nothing more than local small businesses competing for staff, competing for resources. That was the vision for public education under a coalition government in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And state Labor, when they were elected in 1995, they were elected on the pledge to reject those discredited ideas and implement policies that preserved the centralised statewide staffing system that we currently have. We have accommodated a range of changes, refinements over the years since 1995, but in essence we have a system now that successfully balances all of the competing priorities from a teacher perspective, from a student perspective and from parents in our schools across the state. It's obvious that we do not have equal capacity within all schools to compete for staff. It's an uneven selection field out there. Any attempt to dismantle service transfers will actually damage difficult to staff schools' capacity to attract and retain staff. It's not possible to promise on the one hand increased opportunities for some schools in preferred locations to locally select staff without reducing the capacity of difficult to staff schools to attract and retain their teachers. So these are the fundamental issues that we're at loggerheads on with the government and the department. In terms of our campaign, we clearly are relying on teachers, executives, principals and parents in all of our school communities across New South Wales to make their objections known to their local members of Parliament, to the Director-General, the Minister. We are engaging in a statewide sustained campaign on these issues. We will be conducting a Stop Work Sky Channel meeting by the end of this school term. Members will be directed to attend those meetings to hear a report on latest developments. Yes, we are seeking to negotiate a resolution of this dispute. We are seeking to negotiate improvements, things like on-the-job assessment, to strengthen the existing promotion system. We are keen to negotiate new incentives on top of a service transfer and an incentive transfer scheme, not instead of. We reject the notion that you can dismantle service transfers and jeopardise the placement of incentive transfers through this power of veto that's been invented, whereby exceptional circumstances can be used as a reason to block an incentive transfer, a nominated transfer or a compassionate transfer. We are keen to negotiate new incentives to encourage teachers to undertake service in difficult to staff schools, but it must be done in addition to that statewide transfer system that are the supply lines, that provide the supply lines for schools around New South Wales. At the Sky Channel meetings, we will determine a course of future action, and we will engage, just like we did in the 1990s, to defeat these sorts of discredited policies. We will engage parents, teachers in a campaign to defeat these proposals. Thank you.